As you all know by now, Brexit did not happen immediately after the Brexit referendum in 2016. There were exhausting negotiations between the UK and the EU, first about the exit of the UK and then about the future relationship between the EU and the UK. And after the official Brexit on January 31st in 2020, where the UK officially left the EU and with it the Parliament, Nigel Farage was out, there was a transitional period until December 31st in 2020 to implement a new relationship. There are indeed some longer transitional period for some areas like euro clearing and stuff, but this was the main one indeed. And people are talking a lot about the level of preparations for Brexit on different sides, or in some cases the lack of preparation. So in a few of my videos I will give you an overview about the extent of preparations by different countries involved, and of course the UK and the EU. The UK one is already published. And today I will tell you about the preparations in Belgium. Before the end of the transition period on December 31st in 2020, Belgium made various preparations to address the potential impacts of Brexit. And of course, as in all those videos, I do have some key aspects of Belgium's Brexit preparations for you. Belgium, as a major gateway for goods entering and leaving the European Union, focused on ensuring smooth customs procedures. The Belgian Customs Authority, known as Customs and Excise, prepared for increased customs checks and implemented measures to handle the additional administrative workload. Belgium invested in upgrading and expanding its infrastructure at ports, airports, and other key border points. And this included increasing the capacity of customs facilities and hiring additional staff to process the increased volume of goods and passengers. Belgian authorities worked to align national legislation with EU regulations to maintain consistency in areas directly affected by Brexit, such as those customs procedures, product standards, and regulations governing the movement of goods and services. And the Belgian government launched information campaigns to raise awareness among citizens, businesses, and stakeholders about the potential impacts of Brexit. And this involved providing guidance on new customs procedures, regulatory changes, and necessary documentation for trade with the United Kingdom. And Belgium actively participated in the negotiations between the European Union and the United Kingdom to secure agreements on various aspects of the future relationship. And this included agreements on trade, fishing rights, citizen rights, and cooperation in various sectors. And Belgian authorities conducted assessments to understand the potential economic impact of Brexit on various sectors, including agriculture, fisheries, manufacturing, and services. And these assessments helped identify potential risks and develop mitigation strategies. Belgium provided support and guidance to businesses affected by Brexit, including small and medium-sized enterprises, the so-called SMEs. This involved assistance in understanding customs procedures, facilitating access to information, and providing financial support for adaptation and transition measures. And Belgium made significant investments in its port infrastructure to handle potential disruptions caused by Brexit. The ports of Zeebrugge and Antwerp in particular underwent upgrades to accommodate increased customs checks and additional border controls. And this included the construction of new inspection areas, parking facilities for trucks, and additional customs staff to facilitate the smooth flow of goods. And Belgium implemented measures to facilitate trade between the United Kingdom and the European Union post-Brexit. This involved setting up dedicated lanes for customs checks, establishing simplified customs procedures for trusted traders, and implementing electronic systems to streamline the clearance process. The goal was to minimize delays and administrative burdens on businesses. And as I said, Belgium worked closely with the European Union to ensure that regulations and standards remained aligned after Brexit. And this included incorporating EU laws into national legislation and updating regulations in areas such as product standards, food safety, and environmental requirements. The aim was to maintain a level playing field and ensure the continuity of trade between Belgium and the UK. And Belgium strengthened its border control and immigration procedures to manage the movement of people between the EU and the UK. And this involved deploying additional border staff, enhancing passport control systems, and implementing measures to handle the potential increase in visa applications and residence permits for UK citizens residing in Belgium, but also vice versa. Belgium, home to the European Union's capital Brussels and the headquarters of several major financial institutions, prepared for the potential impact on the financial services sector as well. Authorities assessed the potential risks and worked to mitigate any negative consequences by implementing regulatory frameworks and transitional arrangements to ensure the continuity of financial services between Belgium and the UK. And Belgium took steps to safeguard the rights of EU citizens residing in the UK and UK citizens living in Belgium. This included providing guidance on residency requirements, supporting applications for settled status, and facilitating access to social security and healthcare for affected individuals. Belgium also encouraged UK citizens to regularize their residence status in line with the new post-Brexit rules. And Belgium collaborated closely with other EU member states to share information, best practices, and coordinate efforts in preparing for Brexit. This collaboration aimed to ensure a unified approach across the EU and minimize disruption to trade and other areas of cooperation. Before the end of the transition period on December 31st in 2020, Brexit preparations were considered highly important for all affected countries, both within the European Union and the United Kingdom. The transition period began after the UK officially left the EU on January 31st in 2020, as I already said, and it allowed time for both parties to negotiate their future relationship and make necessary arrangements. And some did it to a much higher extent than others. But you can see the effects of the preparations in how much Brexit affected those countries as well nowadays. And if you want to know more about preparations or other topics, the next video is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.